How's everybody doing today? So, I've been trying to make this video, right? And the topic of the video, I found I just don't have enough to say to make it like a full-length 10 to 15 minute video like I normally do. So I was trying to connect it with another topic, and I have found that they just really don't mesh at all. So here's what I'm going to do. Instead of getting one full-length video like normal, I'm going to make two short videos and see how that works out. So first things first, this is the last segment to my overview of the 2018 elections. And this specifically is going to focus on the Senate races and where I see the Senate ending up after the 2018 midterm elections. So here's the thing. The Senate races, by the way, the first couple of videos that I made about the 2018 midterms, I'm going to put in the description to this one, especially the one about the congressional races. They're all meant to be a series, and I think you should watch those. They don't have to be watched in any particular order, but you kind of need all of them to paint the whole picture. I'll probably end up putting them into a playlist, but for now they'll be in the description to this video. So here's the thing. The Senate races are at once more confusing and much more simple than the congressional races. They're much more simple because, unlike Congress, where we have this bizarre number to work with, and figuring out majorities and stuff is kind of odd and counterintuitive, with the Senate, we have 2 senators for every state, 50 states, 100 senators. Pretty simple, right? To have a majority, you need 51. 51%, 51 senators. Really, really easy. Now here's where it gets more complicated. Unlike congressional terms, which are 2 years, Senate terms are 6 years long, and they're staggered. So not every senator runs for re-election at the same time. Specifically this year, we are running the re-election of the senators who were elected in 2012. Now the current 115th Senate has 51 Republicans, 47 Democrats, and 2 independents. Those 2 independents, for the rest of this video, I'm going to essentially just look at as Democrats. Because they caucus with the Democrats, they may as well be Democrats. So really what we have is a 51-49 split. A majority for the Republicans, but a majority in the smallest terms possible. Now here's the thing. Remember when we talked about in some of those other videos, for those of you who have already watched them, this momentum that the Democrats have going into this midterm election. The fact that the Democrats are poised to be able to win a lot here in the 2018 elections. Well, see, when it comes to Senate races, that Democratic advantage is badly dampened and may even be reversed, solely by numbers. Because remember, a minute ago I was telling you that not every senator runs for re-election at the same time, and only every 6 years. So here's the thing. We have 35 senators who are running for re-election. 26 of those seats up for re-election are currently held by Democrats, and only 9 by Republicans. Which means that as far as the senators who are safe or not up for re-election this year, the Republicans actually have a massive majority, 42-23, almost a 2-to-1 advantage. And out of those 9 Republican seats that are up for grabs, I'm fairly confident in calling 8 of them safe. 1 of them still leans Republican, probably still will end up Republican, but 8 of them are pretty much a lock in my eyes. Which means the best case scenario for the Democrats in the Senate is that they can use that momentum that they have to the fullest and push a draw in the Senate, a 50-50 split. And it's really only a 50-50 split because we're calling those 2 independents Democrats. But here's the thing. Out of those 26 Dem seats, there's a few of them that are not nearly as certain as the Republican seats. So even in a world where we see that one Republican seat that's kind of in question, which I'll talk about in a later video, go to the Democrats, I wouldn't be surprised to see one or two of the Democrat seats go to the Republicans. And so we're probably going to end up with a Republican majority in the Senate anyway after the 2018 elections. This one, just to follow the trend of giving you my idea, my percentage, if I had to put my money on a solid number, I'm going to say it stays the same, 51 to 47 to 2. And if I had to give you my hypothesis on the Republicans walking away with a majority, I'm going to say 65%, but out of the rest of that 35%, I'm going to say 25% of it is a 50-50 split. And there's probably about a 10% chance that we see a Democrat majority in the Senate after the 2018 midterms. So, in my eyes, following the 2018 elections, the most likely overall outcome is this. Obviously, we still have a Republican president, one way or the other. There will be most likely a Democrat-controlled Congress, and most likely a Republican-controlled Senate, and still a very conservative Supreme Court, which IMO is honestly where the liberals have been hit the worst in the last few years, because we've lost what amounts to one liberal and one neutral Supreme Court justice and replaced them with two conservative Supreme Court justices from what was previously a pretty evenly split Supreme Court. Which actually bugs me a little bit, because even as a conservative, I don't feel that the Supreme Court is any place for politics. I feel that the Supreme Court are supposed to be interpreters of the law and not makers of the law, and I don't think that their personal political biases should affect their decisions in any way, shape, or form. I think we need to find a new nonpartisan way to nominate and elect Supreme Court justices, but that's a whole conversation for a whole nother day. I do want to leave you on this closing thought, though. I said before in my congressional video that I think that one of the best possible outcomes for the president, it might be a blessing in disguise, but I think one of the best possible things that could happen to him is to lose Congress and hold the Senate. To do this still leaves the Republican Party with a lot of avenues to still get bills passed if they so desire, especially with the fact that they do have the advantage of a conservative Supreme Court that's probably going to side with them on most challenges to any sort of legal disputes, right? But I think that paradigm gets rid of what has actually been Donald Trump's greatest challenge in his first 2 years in office, which is other Republicans. I think that in light of the fact that the Democratic Party has been impotent for the last 2 years and in essence has existed to do nothing but try and foil up the way that the government works and slow things down and, things like that, which I heavily criticize, but I also heavily criticize the fact that the Republicans did it 8 to 10 years ago. And oh my god, I'm getting old. I just realized that. I enlisted in the Army in the waning days of George W. Bush's presidency. That's kind of when I consider my adulthood to have started. So I've been an adult for over 10 years now. Still haven't achieved much. No, I'm just kidding. I've done alright for myself. But, seriously, I think that with the Democratic Party gaining some measure of power, it would force the Republicans to rally more behind the president and become a little bit less obstinate and a little bit less bullish, I guess. Because they're then in a position where they need all the Republicans to make things happen, instead of the situation where they're in now, where they can leave some of the Republicans out and still get things done. And it may also lead to a world where that Democrat-controlled Congress starts to try and introduce some more moderate measures and bills and things that might actually pass the Senate and get approved by the president and, you know, make everybody happy instead of stuff that's just super left-leaning. I know it's not going to happen. Don't worry, I'm just kidding. Sorry, that's just how it is. It's an unfortunate thing, but everybody in the upper echelons of the government right now is just a bunch of stubborn jerks, and it's really what mucks us up. But we'll talk about that another day. You guys have a great night. I'll see you in the next video. If I don't edit much out of this, I might be able to get that 10 minutes. Peace.